In this tutorial, we'll look at the color correction levels effect inside of After Effects. So here we are inside of After Effects. If I have my foreground element selected, I'm going to go up to Effect, Color Correction, and I'm going to come down to Levels. Levels works very similar to the curves effect. So if you watch that video or if you remember it from class, it's just a different way of working with that, but it's kind of the same way to get to the same results. And sometimes people just prefer one over the other. Some people use one for color, one for value. That's kind of what I do. I'll use the curves effect to adjust the color, but I'll come into levels because I find it a little bit easier and it makes more sense with my workflow. But you're going to see that they're kind of interchangeable in many ways. Unlike the curves effect, you're going to see here that we still have a little grid or kind of a histogram here with some things that we can adjust. But now we actually have some numerical values that we can work with. These numerical values are going to be tied to the different triangles that are up here. Notice as I move this triangle back and forth, that input black moves back and forth as well, and vice versa. So there are ways to work either way inside of here, just kind of your preference. So I'm just going to stick with the widget, and we're going to look at that. So here we have our histogram, and we've got from blacks to whites over here, 0 to 255 on that value spectrum. And that's because we're in RGB mode. I can go into each individual mode independently, and I can adjust those and see those themselves. But with RGB, we're going to have that grayscale input here. So similarly to curves, when I take this node here on the left, I'm going to drag it to the right, and it's going to make my image darker. That's because what's happening here is what was 0, so black, all the pixels turned off, and then these were slightly more bright than 0. We've now crushed those and said, here's the new 0, and here's where we're going to be. So we're essentially just kind of crushing those values as we go this way. On the right-hand side, we're doing the opposite by bringing them this way. We're saying what was 255 or pure white pixels, we're now bringing those this way, and now these are the new 255 white pixels. And we're starting to see that blown out effect here because what was once kind of middle gray value, we've said, no, we want that to be clipping at that point. So this is obviously really extreme. We're not going to really bring it up that much, but you can see here that we can bring the image here a little bit like this and start to get a more integrated image and have it pop out a little bit more of our scene by adjusting these values. On the bottom here, this level, this area is kind of works in the opposite. It's like bringing the black values up or the white values down in curves. So we're starting to desaturate or kind of remove those black values. So if we bring this all the way up, we can get a pure white mask. If we bring it all the way down, you get a pure black mask. We're just kind of saying where the output values of our 0 and our 255 are going to live here. So by default, 0, 0, white is 255, and that's where we want to kind of leave that. Unlike curves, we don't have an ability to make a curve, but we still can adjust the middle values here called the gamma by running this slider right here, and we can see it's attached to that gamma slider as well. So as we try to perfect this to make it look like we need to, we can do that. We can come back into that blue channel. We can work with the white balance values here. So if we want to make it a little bit more on the yellow side there to bring it in just a little bit. I'm trying to do this and record at the same time. That looks pretty decent. If I turn it on and off, you can start to see here the big difference that makes when we work with the levels inside of After Effects to get the composite that we're looking for. All right, in the next video, I'm going to show you kind of a workflow to get it all together. Thanks.